Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Dragon Warrior 3 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Last episode, Prince Ernie, Tennison, Indy, and Sadie put 3 of the orbs they found, the purple orb, the yellow orb, and the blue orb, down in the shrine to the south. And now all they need to do is get the final 6th orb, the silver orb. They were told that that is beyond the Cave of Necrogond. Necrogond is beyond the volcano, and we're told that we're gonna have to throw the sort of guy in the volcano. So that's what we're gonna head to do right now here. We're gonna warp to Asaram because that's the closest town to the volcano. When I was exploring the world, we kind of stopped at that where the river split there. If we would have kept going north, we would have ran into Asaram. So that's why I just warped there, because otherwise you'd have to go all the way around the cape. All around the Horn of Africa there, where Tendaki is. So this is just a quick way to get to where we're going. Because we want to conserve as much hit points and magic points and resources as possible, because the Cave of Necrogond is really, really annoying. It reminds me of the Cave of Necrogond in Dragon Quest II. This kind of reminds me opposite of Dragon Quest II. In Dragon Quest II, we remember we had to open the floodgates to get to the Tower of the Moon, to get the fragment of the moon. So we ended up having to open the floodgates to cover land so that we can reach a location with our boat. This one we're doing the opposite. We're covering water with land. So doing the exact opposite that we did in Dragon Warrior 2. Like I said, this cave, though, does bring back a lot of memories of Dragon Warrior 2, specifically the Cave of Rome, because, like the Cave of Rome, this cave is kind of confusing. If you don't know your way through, there's some things that are kind of like puzzly. Enemies are really strong in here. We're going to run into some enemies like the ones in Rome that could cast like instant defeat spells. It's just basically a really strong cave, and it's going to basically test our characters and their ability. In fact, the guy who gives us the silver orb after the cave basically comments on that. He says, like, basically, like, well, if you can survive the cave, you should be able to defeat the archfiend. So, speaking of the archfiend, we're able to see his castle after we exit this cave. Very similar to how in Dragon Warrior 2, once you exit the Cave of Rome, you were in Rome area where Hargon's castle was. Hargon was the villain in that game, the evil sorcerer. Ran some new enemies. Those ice clouds there. Don't cast any ice-based spells on them because it doesn't work. Fire works well on them. A lot of enemies have pretty good, decent magic resistance in this area, so most of the time we're going to be casting, just taking enemies out with physical attacks. This Tortragon there, you can use the sap spell, so you can use it for free with the Orochi sword, but I just attacked regularly, hoping the Tennison would get critical hits, and Prince Ernie does extra damage because his Dragon Sword does extra damage to the King Tortragon. Although we will be upgrading that sword very soon. We get a pretty nice sword coming up here. Not a lot of treasure in this cave, so actually all the treasure is going to be on the next floor. So that helps. But here's the Tortragon there. Like I said, not too difficult. They do have that high defense. The more difficult was probably the enemy that came with it. The problem with that enemy is we ran into it in the Samano Cave. That's what we got the stats on. But it can use the numb breath, sweet breath, and that turns your character's numb to turn Tennison numb there. Numb you can get rid of with the full moon herb, the numb off spell, or just by walking it off. The problem is that if we're basically running into groups of like 3 of them normally, and there's a good chance that they can put all your characters, numb all your characters, because numb doesn't go off in battle, so if all your characters are numbed in battle, it's a game over. So, if you get like maybe like 2 characters numbed after a battle, you probably want to use the numb off spell, just in case you run into another group of those Skeletor monsters who can numb you up. We have the mini-demons coming in big groups as well. We ran into one of them in the Phantom ship, so I put the stats up there. but because they're coming in big groups now, they may survive long enough to cast their Blazemore spell. That's why I kept Indy and Sadie with their magic armor. That helps reduce fire damage. You could throw the Angel Robe on them, because there's also some enemies here that do cast the Beat spell, which is a more accurate version of the Defeat spell. Defeat targets everybody, so it has a lower hit percentage, so Beat, which just targets one character, has a higher hit percentage. That's kind of how they balance it out. But yeah, you more run into the enemies that cast the fire spells, those demons, those mini demons. So I kept it on that. Although I will end up having to use my during this, I will end up using my the Leaf of the World tree. But you know, if you use the Leaf of the World tree, just pick up a new one. One of the annoying things about those those mini demons is we're so close to being able to one-shot them with Prince Ernie. We're about to get another sword, though, that will allow him to one-shot. So here's the enemies that can use that beat spell, the Hollow Ghosts. So you might want to focus your attacks on them if you're in a group with them. So luckily they don't have too many hit points, so but they like to use that beat spell. Trolls hit pretty hard, but we're not too worried about the trolls. Remember, we took out the boss troll in Samano. He's not the top troll, though. We're gonna have troll kings later on in the game. But yeah, if we deal with the boss troll, we should be able to take out his little troll flunkies. So, finish these guys off, and then we're gonna continue onward. Looking for the new sword. It's actually called the Thunder Sword, which is the ultimate sword in non-cursed sword in Dragon Warrior 2. So there's another throwback, I guess, to the Cave of Necrogond. So many little things that remind you of it. There's a Metal Babble, kind of a rare encounter in here. They're stronger than the Metal Slimes, but like Metal Slimes, if you defeat them, you get a ton of experience points. And they have, their drop is called Luck Shoes, the Shoes of Happiness. And one of the interesting things about them is, like, if you put them on your character, every time they take a step, they gain 1 point of experience. So, that's not, like, a lot, you know, in the long run. You probably still just gain levels by fighting. But you can actually gain a level, like, walking on the overworld, if you just happen to be lucky enough. It's gonna take thousands of steps, but, you know, when you're doing so much exploration in the game, you know, it can eventually add up. So I know when I did my test run, where I did get everybody up to level 99, I did get those shoes did help and got a few levels here and there, because I was just wandering back and forth grinding. Here's the chest right here. It's the Thunder Sword. That'll give Prince Ernie pretty much enough attack power to take out the those mini demons. We're gonna have to, of course, we'll lose the little extra damage that we get against those Tortragons. Remember, those Tortragons, they are susceptible to the defense spell, or the sap spell, and you get the free defense spell thanks to the Orochi sword. So losing that little bit of damage isn't that much of a problem, so... Prince Ernie, when he gained that level, he finally got the Heal More spell, which is good because now he can help contribute to healing our characters up, keeping them fresh in the white. As you see, the encounter rate is pretty high here, and we do have 2 wizard rings, but we don't want to really use them if we can afford not to. If we can afford not to use them, so luckily I'm able to, like I said, avoid having to use them. So, but yeah, by the end, all our MP will be used up, or most of it will be. So, you're gonna have to. But the good thing is, with this cave, is it's a one-way trip. So we go through it, and then we get to the other side, and we get the silver orb. We don't have to return. We don't have to return through this cave. Once you get to the other side and you get the silver orb, we can just use the return spell to warp back to a town or the castle, Aliahan, and we'll be fine. So yeah, Yeah, we only have to brave this cave once. So, Cave of Necrogond we had to do twice. One time to get the... we didn't have to go too deep into it. We had to go into it a little bit to get the life crest from the Cave of Floor of Orcs. And then you had to go through the next time to actually get to the other side too, though. In that cave, sometimes you had to fall down holes to get to the next area. Well, that's gonna pop up here again now. So now to the right, it's basically a repeating passage. So we're just going to avoid going right. It just loops you around and around. You're like, I'm just keep looping around. You have to just then head left, and that'll free you. So we're gonna head down here. We're gonna see a bunch of holes, but we don't have to fall in any of these holes. That'll just take us to the floor below. But we're gonna want to fall in holes basically in the next floor. We'll just avoid all these holes, and luckily we don't have to walk near them. Sometimes your controller, well, at least mine, sometimes it's, you know, it can be sensitive if you touch something. You know, you might push the, go right, but you might press down right, and you know, go down. And we just went down that hole. There's a bunch of holes on that floor up there, but you want to fall down the one onto the right here. Well, it takes to this room here. There's a stairway to the lower left, and then the upper right here. You want to take the upper right one, because that takes us to where we need to go. If we take the lower left, we'd end up in the lower left corner of this floor, and we'd be able to reach these staircases almost, but there's another pit floor down there below, so you have to get it from the north. So, new enemy here, lion heads. They can be kind of scary. They do drop a cursed shield though, the Sorrow Shield, which actually can be a pretty good shield. It has good defensive power, but the problem is like when you if you have that shield and then you get hit, part of the damage that is given to that character will flow to the other characters in your party. So it splits the damage up. But like if you have somebody who's like really tanky and basically taking like no damage, that's like a strat that some people use. They'll have the Sorrow Shield on their big tank, who basically takes no damage from physical attacks, and that way it doesn't really matter if the damage is split up. So just keeping this battle in because I had to keep another one in earlier because with the high encounter rate, I took like one step and they would do another encounter, and then you just have those like the pixelated screens, you know, the screen transitions where I cut unnecessary battles out. I didn't like having them like real close together with each other, so give the take a little space to breathe. Luckily, this is the last floor, but we still have a few annoying things. A lot of screen transitions. We have another new enemy here, the Dancing Jewel. These guys have whatchamacallit, like they can cast a bunch of spells, annoying spells, so they're not bad on their own, but when they're with a bunch of other enemies, you know, the surround, they lower your defense, they surround you so you can't hit other enemies, so they can be annoying. And what else is annoying about them is if they do cast surround on you, no magic works on them. Like, they have resistance to pretty much everything. So a lot of times you deal with it when you're surrounded and have like a 1/4 hit chance, you just cast a spell. Well, that won't work against those trick bags. So, we saw earlier there's some water on this floor. That's the main hazard on this floor. You gotta make sure you're going on the right transitions here to where you can find the bridges. Here we go that way, and then we find the bridge there. If we would have went to some of these other passageways, we would have just ran into the water. And unfortunately, our ratties, even though rats are good swimmers, our guys can't swim. If they could swim, they'd be able to swim right to Baramos' castle. We'll see that when we get out of here. But we'll see Baramos' castle, and unfortunately there's a moat of water, one tile of water around it. And like I said, we can't swim, so we won't be able to reach Baramos' castle. At least on the land. If we can't do it by land, guess we'll have to go by air. But how can we go by air? I don't know. there's Baramos Castle there to the left. There's the shrine. We're going to get the silver orb to the right. And right in the middle there, that swamp, there's a hole. That's kind of a place we're going to go to then. It's a little off thing. You missed this far. You can show you defeat the archfiend. Here, take you to the silver orb. He basically says the same thing. We talk to him again. It's like, hey, you can show you defeat the archfiend. Yes, it's a good, test to see how, if you're pretty good. Usually if your character's around level 30, that's a good time for, like, the archfiend. So, I could level grind a little bit here, but we're not going to do the archfiend's castle all in one go. We'll get all the treasure in the archfiend's castle, then we'll warp out, escape, save up, and then we can just... That way we don't have to take detours and just go back to the archfiend. So it's not that much long, because I've got the 6th orb here now, so we'll be able to put it on the altar down in the south. So one thing I forgot to mention, Prince Ernie got an armor there, the sword edge armor. It's kind of like the opposite of the Shield of Sorrow, where like if somebody gets, if the Shield of Sorrow gets hit, damage goes to the other party members. With the sword edge armor, if an enemy hits you with a physical attack, some of that enemy is reflected back onto the enemy. So it's good that Prince Ernie's in the front. He gets the most targets. He gets targeted the most by attacks. So that adds some extra damage to when fighting enemies. So that's it for this episode. Take care. See you next one when we put that orb on the last orb on the altar. Bye.